Hey guys, this is Jake from the Infamy team. We host fantasy tournaments around the ALGS and FNCS, so be sure to go over our website at infamy.gg to check that out. But right now, we're going to give you a quick little recap and overview of what happened this past weekend with North American ALGS Winter Online Qualifier Tournament number 4. Uh, the top three included of Complexity rounding up in third, Mouse and Keyboard with a strong second place finish, and then lastly KSC with the overall win. And thing to note, moving into that last game, was really top heavy. I want to say teams 2 through 8 were like neck and neck, battling out for that second place going to the last game, because KSC was like already ahead by like 20 points or so, I think even more. So they basically had that tournament wrapped up. They As long as they didn't hard throw, die early game, and have one of these other teams really pop off. But a few teams to note that were coming in really hot off OT number 3 were TL, Mouse and Keyboard, and Solo Fide. SF had an uncharacteristically poor performance this time, finishing off in the very low group of teams. I want to say they had some tough rotations and struggled to pick up a lot of kills, often getting finished off by a third party. Like Designful and Gent, you'd usually see them like leading the pack in terms of kills, putting up like 15, 20 plus kills throughout the tournament, but none of them on the squad managed to break double digits in terms of KP. Um, Moving over to TL, they were definitely struggling early on, getting wiped in the early to mid game, but certainly turned it around with a third place finish in game 5, and then with that game 6 win to close out the tournament with a nice cherry on top with flanker on that Bangalore. That was a great fight to see between them, TSM, and Complexity. Um, and then I think one team to note that has kind of been not necessarily flying under the radar, just but hasn't getting the kind of recognition or notability, or I'd say, is Mouse and Keyboard. They've been doing really, really well since their inception. I think back to OT number 1, they came in 5th. OT number 2, 7th. OT number 3, they came in 3rd, and then lastly in this one, they came in 2nd. Uh, Safe to say they're a very strong team moving forward for the winter playoffs. Definitely one you might want to pick up one for your fantasy roster, and that something to note that Frex has been putting up better and more consistent performances than his old friends on NRG. But moving back to the winners of KSC, in case you don't know, they're comprised of Zach Mazer, Noct, and Stay Naughty. Zach with the hilarious post-tournament interview with Fallout, just dropping f-bombs, having the chat, spam family friendly, by the way, so, and whatnot. I thought it was hilarious, and just definitely changed up the typical interviews we would get out of pros. And then Fallout mentioned in the interview that all three of them really got popped off in terms of kills. All of them finishing top 8 throughout the entire lobby. Noct with 13, Naughty on 12, and then Zach with 10. Sadly, we didn't have KSC in our fantasy tournament for OT number 4, but Noct would have been the MVP with earning 10.42 points, taking first from Complexity Monsoon with 10. To give some context, the average score for this past tournament was about 5.9 to 6 points. So they are certainly a team to keep an eye out and maybe pick up for your fantasy roster. Steady improvements throughout the OT qualifiers, and they will be cheaper in terms of price to budget for your salary than like your other signed teams like your CLGs, TSMs, TLs, and whatnot. Something that I noticed was that Noct was their kill leader instead of Zach. Maybe this is due to the caustic meta and the prevalence of the Jibby domes, that you usually see the Wraith or Bloodhound kind of leading the charge in terms of kills, being the entries and the tip of the spear essentially. Maybe just that it's kind of harder to not like burst someone down, knock them, and finish them off before the dome shield comes down and gets that res off. So maybe things will change with this Chaos Theory meta patch is coming in today. So have to wait and see. And then speaking of adjustments and You got to go to TSM. Can't speak of NA without mentioning TSM at some point. Um, Seemingly coming to the finals in high spirits, knowing that F8 essentially threw their games with their half-hearted contests in East Frag, like dropping, barely doing anything and running away essentially. So they didn't qualify, leaving East Frag open for TSM to loot freely, and allowing them to run their comfort picks of Wraith, Bloodhound, and Gibby. But this time had everybody switching up their legends. We had Hal on Gibby, Reps on Bloodhound, and Snipe on Wraith. And out of this, we got the hilarious clip of Daltouche, I want to say, contextualizing, nicely, way to put it, some endgame comms between Snipe and Hal right before that Game 6 fight that I mentioned before between TSM, Complexity, and TL. Um, it just goes to show you how adaptable that this team can and is willing to be. They definitely went through their woes of the earlier OT tournaments, but they seem to hit a stride in this one. They even had I think it was game 3 or 4 win. How with 9 points and Reps and Snipes each coming in with 8 kills apiece, coming in with a 4th place finish. They didn't qualify through the top 3 points, top 3 placements, but they do auto qualify for the ALGS winner overall playoffs based off overall ALGS points. With the likes of Sentinels, who also have been struggling, but this tournament they definitely performed better than their previous recent showings. So good to see these two mainstay teams kind of get it together moving into the winter playoffs at the end of the month. That said, I think a great way to end the winter circuit. Teams are looking stacked. We got some new rosters in there, combination of players. And coming off of this, hopefully getting rid of this Caustic meta. Early reactions to the patch notes earlier today is that Caustic's now trash tier. Definitely good for competitive environment and viewership. It's just going to be so much easier to figure out who is who, for especially people who aren't as familiar with Apex, let alone the comp scene. So definitely should be one of the best turns of recent times. So very much looking forward to that. That being said, be sure to head over to infamy.gg, where we host fantasy tournaments around the ALGS and FNCS. Thanks.